The Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab says that the EU should move to a compromise on key issues in order to get a trade deal in time for the end of the Brexit transition period at the end of December. Another round of talks with Brussels will take place this week. But tonight, in the last half hour, the government has said that it's planning new Brexit legislation that could go against agreements already made with the EU and therefore threaten future talks. More on that shortly. But first, here's our political correspondent, Chris Mason, whose report contains flash photography.
On January the 31st, the UK left the European Union. Since then, little has changed because of a transition period that runs until the end of this year. But our long-term trading relationship is still being worked out, and these are the two men trying to do it. Michel Barnier for the EU on the right here, and Lord Frost for the UK. Lord Frost said today, "We are not going to be a client state. We are not going to compromise on the fundamentals of having control over our own laws." One EU official described the remarks as unsurprising muscle flexing. So what is standing in the way of reaching a deal? One issue is fishing rights. Who can catch what, in whose waters, and the terms on which it is sold. And another is what is known as state aid. The UK wants to be able to give financial help to companies if it chooses to. The EU says that that would be unfair. The Foreign Secretary told the BBC the coming negotiations were vital and the UK's position was clear.
It's a wake-up call for the EU side. We've got to a position where there's only 2 points really that are holding us back, but we can't accept that the EU will control our laws. That's the reason we're leaving. No other country goes into free trade negotiations with the EU or with anyone else on that basis, and the EU wouldn't accept that if we insisted on it.
The rows about Brexit are not as noisy as they were. The ever-present tension at Westminster and beyond has eased. Whatever happens this autumn, how we trade with the EU will change next year. A trade deal may be struck or may not be. Labour say it's vital an arrangement with Brussels is arrived at.
Will it be the clearest sign yet of this government's monumental incompetence if we get to the end of the transition period and we haven't negotiated a deal with our most important trading partners? The government continually promised that they had an oven-ready deal, and yet it still looks like they are unprepared.
You may have got used to Brexit having wandered out of the headlines, but it's making a comeback between now and the new year.
And Chris is with me here in the studio now. That report, Chris, is all about talks on our future trade. But the new details emerging tonight are about what we already agreed with the EU.
Yeah, that's right. And this is where we delve back into all of that detail that dominated news bulletins around a year ago. You may remember back then all of those rows about the border on the island of Ireland. How do you, after Brexit, keep that border between Northern Ireland in the UK and the Republic in the EU open, as set out in the Good Friday Peace Agreement, not have checks once the UK has left the EU? The withdrawal agreement found a way round that, and the way it did that was ensuring that there would be some checks on goods entering Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK, and some were very uncomfortable with that, but the government signed up to it. Tonight, the Financial Times reporting that the government is planning new legislation and that would override that part of the withdrawal agreement, as well as some obligations regarding state aid that I was talking about in the report there. Now, speaking to those in government tonight, I'm told that this is a sensible fallback option in case the ongoing negotiations break down. But this legislation will be introduced this week. Now, Labour are saying tonight that this is yet another example of what they describe as the Prime Minister's fluid relationship with the truth. There's little doubt that this appears to be an explosive intervention, although government sources are insisting this is not intended to derail the talks.
Chris, thank you very much. Let's turn then to Brussels and our Europe editor, Katya Adler. How will this be regarded in Brussels, Katya?
Well, look, Michelle, if you have this international treaty, which was only recently signed a few months ago between the UK government and the EU, now being undermined by UK domestic legislation, you can expect a very strong reaction, not just here in Brussels, but in Paris and Berlin and elsewhere. We've heard time and again during the current trade negotiations, which, Michelle, we know anyway aren't going very well, but we've heard from the EU's chief negotiator that implementing the withdrawal agreement, the Northern Ireland Protocol is a key trust issue between the EU and the UK, and he said it's also key to having successful trade negotiations. This news is just breaking tonight, but I've been speaking to sources here in Brussels, and one key EU diplomat said to me, you know, it's not just about trust, it's not just about credibility, but if this UK legislation undermines the Irish Protocol, this could lead to the unravelling altogether of these trade negotiations. He called it a self-defeating strategy by the UK. And of course, this comes just on the eve of the 8th round of trade negotiations. The EU trade negotiators are about to pop onto the Eurostar and join their UK counterparts in London this week. This report will not help ease the atmosphere.
Katia Adler in Brussels, thank you.